Hi, and welcome to Where Are They Now? I'm Heather Lindstead, your host, class of 1985. I'm very excited today to be joined by three young women, there you go, from the class of 2001, Jen Atkisson, Chrissie Pariseau, and Erin Burns. Thank you and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Hey, you've all kind of been friends since high school, I'm sure, and I'm sure you're looking forward to it, and we can talk about your hopefully class reunion coming up. But one of the things that I noticed that all of you had in common was the color guard. So in talking about those and the things that made you happy at Chelmsford High School, obviously being part of a group, but tell me more about your experience with the color guard and like why you would join the color guard or how they found you.
Right. Well, so I joined my freshman year. I actually saw advertisements for tryouts in 8th grade in the building we're filming in right now, Parker Middle School.
Oh, that's fun.
And at first I couldn't even remember why I decided to audition. I didn't know anyone who did it. But then as I was thinking about it a little more, I remembered that watching the 4th of July parades, I always wanted to be part of Mrs. Dunn's majorette group in town, and I felt like they got such an early start that ship had sailed for me. Okay. Those girls start so young, but I felt like color guard could be my opportunity to kind of resolve that regret that I had in life at that young age. So I auditioned as an 8th grader, and I got in for freshman year, and I loved it immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have any special skill when you decided to be in the color guard, or what was it, Jen?
Definitely not.
Okay.
I did win Most Improved Player, I'm pretty sure, because it was a very rough go. And I did not join until sophomore year after seeing how much fun these guys were having.
Well, I joined sophomore
I was going to say, I was going to say, I wasn't
Erin
sure.
was first.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then Trailblazer, yeah.
Okay.
And then we were like, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
And getting to hang out with the band, because obviously the color guard's part of
it.
that. And
Yeah.
so we had friends in the band, and
I was gonna say, I hadn't really found my niche at that point, so it was a good thing to jump into.
yeah.
Now, Erin mentioned that there's a tryout, though. So was it? I mean, do you remember your first time in the tryout and how scared you were, or anything, or?
I don't remember the tryouts. What I remember is when because we were captains our senior year together, the three of us. Yeah. And so we had to learn, because there's band camp like in the summer, right? And we had to learn all the routines before then so that we could teach it to our team.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we, in my front yard, we had that boom box.
Yes,
and,
oh my Lord.
And we were twirling our flags in our front yard over and over and over again so that we would learn it and then had to teach it to our girls.
That was so fun.
That was fun. Yeah.
So it was fun, but was there an embarrassing moment ever in the color guard?
No, never. We were so polished.
I was going to say, I honestly can't tell you how many times I dropped flags and danced the wrong way. I still can't dance. I don't know how I made it through. So it was a lot of that, and it honestly taught me to kind of let go and then kind of come out of my shell a lot.
I think we had a lot of girls like that on the team that were shy, or they wanted to be involved, they wanted to be a part of things. I think being in the parades, being at the football games, that's always fun and exciting. And color guard was a way for kind of anyone to do it, because it's not really technically hard. I mean, it's hard to do together, like at the same time. And it takes time to learn it. And you have to dedicate yourself to that. But we had a lot of girls, I think came out of their shell, or use it a way to build their confidence, get used to being in front of people, but you weren't by yourself, and so I think that was kind of a unplanned side effect, like that's not why I did it, I wasn't like, I'm gonna get better in front of a crowd.
Now, how long was your season? I mean, you didn't, you do it mostly for the football season and stuff like that, but.
We'd start in August and then
Thanksgiving.
When it was nice and warm.
Nice and warm. We had so those boots that we wore, which they don't wear our uniforms anymore, but we wore these white boots with these maroon tassels, and then Capizio tights, and then it was like a dress, and it was freezing.
So cold.
So cold, and the wind would just like whip through those tights, forget it.
Yeah.
Now they can wear
gonna
pants
say,
with long johns.
At one of the competitions we did, I actually had pneumonia at the competition, but didn't know I had it till we got home. And I was feeling really funny all day. And I got home, got off of the bus, took a deep breath in, and fell down on the floor. Like, it was so cold. And I'm like in this tiny little dress. And all day I'm thinking, this probably wasn't the best, but you make it through.
Yeah, well, you're committed.
Stronger
you know, you're part of the team and you're committed.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and talk about that. Like, you make the commitment to be a part of the color guard and how it impacts what you do in the classroom. Like, you know, did you feel like, well, I'm part of this, and don't you think that doing an activity also made you a little bit better as a student? And I know all of you were in the National Honor Society and those kind of things. But talk about academically and some of the teachers that you might have had that you really felt like everything was gelling for you when you were a student at CHS.
God, I feel like in high school it's hard for things to gel. Right. You know, there's so many changes, you know, but I don't know, for me, after school, having practice, you know, I think it just makes you manage your time better, you know, because you can't just go home and watch TV, you know, you have practice, and once you're in the captain role, especially, like, you're teaching people things, and, you know, you're responsible. So I guess, you know, being involved in any activity, I think, would help with that, you know.
Yeah.
And then I guess your second question, you know, about teachers, and, you know, I was, I don't know, always kind of a nerd, I guess, in school. I enjoyed school for the most part, and you know, didn't have a hard time studying and stuff like that. But probably Mr. Queenan was one of the teachers that probably affected my, I don't know, career and path, the most, because he taught anatomy.
Yep.
And so usually that was a senior course, but he let me take it as a sophomore. And so I was nerdy enough that I helped with dissections, like, outside of class.
Yep.
So we dissected cats, which would, you know, be difficult for some people, but it was so interesting to me.
Right.
And so I ended up, I think, I don't know if I didn't take it twice, but I remember, like, helping with dissections with other students and things. And so, yeah, I'm a veterinarian, so that kind of started me down that path.
Now, Jen, you went athletic training, or at CHS, you tried it and those kind of things.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that all three of you kind of picked a field of, well, the sciences.
Yes.
So was there something about the athletic training? And I know you didn't actually, I mean, you've ended up being a nurse, but like.
Yeah, so I did athletic training so when we weren't in color guard season, I would help out in the athletic trainer's room. And back then it was Doc, who he was awesome, and Amy. And they were the two that kind of ran the room and really taught us the basics of emergency management of any kind of injury, and then kind of rehab stuff as well. They did a phenomenal job. I can't imagine that a lot of schools have that well developed of a program, honestly. And it completely piqued my interest, and that's what I went to school for originally. Once I got there, I kind of realized maybe this is not quite the right thing, right path, but not right exact profession. So I took a semester off and started working, and I've been at the same hospital ever since. So as a nursing assistant
At Leahy.
At Leahy,
Yep.
Yeah, which is now Beth Israel Leahy as of like last week. But you know, took a nursing associate or nurse's aide course and worked there and realized, yep, okay, this was it. My mother had actually discouraged me like my whole childhood because she did not do well in nursing school and had said, like, you know, don't do that. So I was going, you know, teacher path or something, and this was definitely the path for me, and it just took a few bumps in the road to find it, but I only knew because of working probably in the athletic trainer's office during school.
Now, you became an audiologist,
Yes.
which doesn't, you know, that's not something that coming out of CHS, everybody was like, hey, I think this is for you.
Right.
But was it anatomy at CHS, or were there
Well,
different classes, or
yes.
Yeah.
And so kind of like Jen, I had a little bit of a non-direct path to my career.
Okay.
But I probably can tie it back to Ms. Thompson. She was my Spanish teacher, and I felt like Ms. Thomas. Yes, thank you. She and I felt like she really engaged me in the subject of not just the Spanish language, but also the culture.
Right.
We actually did a student exchange where we went and lived for 2 weeks in Mexico City with students down there. We each stayed at different houses with different families, and actually Chrissie did that as well. And then we hosted students who came up for 2 weeks. So that was amazing, and I ended up, my freshman year of college, I was a Spanish major.
Okay.
Although that's not what stuck. So my first meeting with my advisor that year, my advisor told me, like, Erin, with computers becoming what they are, so keep in mind this is 2001,
Yeah.
the need for human interpreters is not going to be a growing profession. And I didn't want to be a teacher, I knew that. So I felt like of what I knew, what you could do with a Spanish degree, it was either going to be interpretation or teaching.
Yeah.
So I guess that at least fostered my interest in communication.
Okay.
So from there, I focused on communication disorders in undergrad, so that's what my bachelor's is in.
Yeah.
Which then you go on to grad school to become an audiologist. So there's a doctorate requirement to be an audiologist. So you can't just stop at your bachelor's, unfortunately. But that it's kind of like all where the communication focus came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, from Spanish to where you are now.
Right.
And have you used the Spanish ever again, or?
Now and then.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But you spent time in New
Actually-
Zealand. I don't think that there's much Spanish being spoken there. So.
Yeah, that was very spontaneous
Okay.
and random.
Yeah.
So it sort of stemmed from, it was my last year of grad school. I was at a professional conference, and I was just going to get the little box lunches they provided for the conference attendees. And I cut through the Career Center, and I happened to see the job postings, and specifically the international job postings. And it was mainly jobs in Australia and New Zealand, and I felt like Australia seemed like the obvious choice. So I interviewed for a couple jobs in New Zealand, Skype interviews.
Of course.
Got a job, and then they took it from there. They helped me get my immigration visa. They set me up with airfare over there, and so I just went, and I ended up staying for over 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it was
now,
great.
all of you have talked about traveling and stuff. You went away for college for a brief time, then came back. But do you think that with the color guard and those kind of things and your leadership, like it makes it a little easier? I mean, you went off to Ohio State. Like a lot of people don't, just generally decide to move on that quickly or leave New England and those kind of things. Like, were there experiences from that, like that said Ohio State, or was Ohio State just because it was big, huge, and it had a great program? I mean,
Well, so I do think with color guard in particular, we went to Paris.
Yep.
Was that sophomore year, I think? Did you go to Paris?
I did not.
No.
No. I
So-
did London.
You did London, yeah. So, with the band, Color Guard has the opportunity to go. I didn't go to London, but I went to Paris. And then we did the Mexico City exchange. So we had those opportunities through CHS, to travel. So I think that kind of takes the, nervousness away, like, and you're with a group and you have chaperones and, but still you're in a foreign country. So so as far as Ohio State goes, I have to say, so my dad, Bob Pariseau, graduate 1964 from CHS, is a huge football fan, and Ohio State football is a big deal. And so we were doing the college tour to, I actually wanted to go look at University of Kentucky because I'm into horses. Kentucky, horses. Seemed an obvious choice. So we went to look at University of Kentucky, beautiful campus, and then we're driving north to see my godparents in Ohio. So they live in northern Ohio. And we were driving literally straight through Columbus. So we disagree on why we stopped there.
Okay.
I say I never would have wanted to live in Ohio because people in Massachusetts think Ohio is like just corn and cows. So there is a lot more there. You should come and visit.
I've been to the campus. I mean, it's a city within itself.
It is.
But you have to be ready for that.
Yeah. So it's a huge school. I loved the campus when we went. So I didn't want to stop. That's what I say. He says that I wanted to stop, but I say he wanted to stop. because
He wanted
to see the stadium,
and-
see the campus, and so anyway, once we got to the campus, however we got there, I loved it, and I really liked that it was a big school in that I could, if I changed my mind, if I wanted to do something different, I didn't necessarily have to change schools,
Right.
Because they offer everything, and then was pleasantly surprised when I started classes that I was an animal science major, and that really shrunk the campus, so it made it a much more small school feel, I think.
Yeah.
And then my first year, I did not buy football tickets.
Really?
Dad was like, why? That's why you're there. No, it's not why you're there. It's not why you're there. But, so I bought season tickets every year after that. So, yeah.
But on a when the RVs are coming in on a Thursday, weren't you like, I should be there?
Really
Like as a
messed up.
freshman?
I did end up going to a couple games because friends,
okay.
had tickets and stuff. But when you have to buy tickets so far in advance. I
Correct.
think before I even got to campus, you
Right.
had to buy them for
Yeah.
freshman year, and I'm like, I don't know.
I was going to say, by the end, your wedding featured prominently
It did.
in Ohio State
It did.
game at the reception.
That's
so
very true.
she
Yeah, I
turned
got
around.
there. Yeah, I got there, but I didn't know, because and anyone who grows up in Ohio, they know, but in Massachusetts, I didn't
You
know Ohio
had
State
no
football
idea.
was a big
Okay,
deal. So,
yeah.
but then it ended up being
It wasn't
amazing.
just like the first
A
game,
given?
was it like Thanksgiving, Chelmsford versus Barica?
It's all like that.
Yeah.
It's all, it's amazing. It's a spectacle, really. And it ended up being something that my dad and I did a lot together. So there were a couple seasons that he came out for every home game, which is kind of ridiculous from Massachusetts to Ohio, but
Right.
we loved it. We had a great time, and so.
You're still attending games, I assume.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, not every
You're
game.
still,
but
still living out there. And
Yeah, I
those
live in
kind of things.
Columbus.
So, so you have to be a Buckeye forever.
have to. Yeah, they kick you out otherwise.
Now, did any of you decide, like when you went to college, though, nothing more to take on the color guard or be a part of it? I mean, at a major university?
I actually did.
Okay.
So I mentioned I went sort of a non-direct path,
Yeah.
kind of through college and grad school. So for 1 year, my sophomore year of undergrad, I went to UMass Amherst, and actually Jen and I were roommates.
Yes, we were.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
And so we did winter guard,
Okay.
which is kind of like their indoor version of twirling flags as opposed to color guard, which is like outdoor on the football field.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. I felt like it kind of upped my flag twirling skills a little bit, which I was pretty proud of at the time.
Yeah.
Met new people.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
So was it just posted again, or did you guys search it out to be a part of it?
I don't even have a concept. I honestly
we might have known people. So
Okay.
again, like
So
from
again-
band at Chelmsford, UMass Amherst was the place to go if
Yeah.
you still wanted
Okay.
to carry that on
Yeah.
for college nearby. They had a very big marching band color guard program.
Yeah.
So we might have known somebody who had a connection with the Winter Guard. It was a long time
nobody
ago.
I knew, but I was going to say, you knowing somebody who sounds about right.
Might have been. We'll say that.
So could you teach flag twirling today?
Absolutely not.
I gotta guess.
You could. I don't.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it would.
We should have brought a flag.
I know.
I haven't tried. I don't know.
Don't tell me there are flags
twirl.
somewhere.
I don't have a flag, so don't worry.
That's good. Good.
But you don't think you could teach it?
I feel like I could.
Yeah.
I feel like I
With
could.
a refresher.
I don't know. I mean, it's been 18 years since
I know.
I've done it. So
Yeah. Okay. When you put it that way, then, yeah, maybe not.
But when you
no.
went to the football games at Ohio State, are you ever
Yeah.
critiquing?
they don't have a color guard.
Oh, really?
So they have baton twirlers.
Okay.
And every once in a while they'll break out some flags, but
Yeah.
it's not an every game thing. So
I actually am hypercritical of every color guard team I ever see in like parades
Yes,
and stuff. I'm like,
yes.
look at them.
Get
Okay.
Together, girls. Get it together.
Yeah, okay, so-
like, why can't they do it? We
Yeah.
could do it. we did it. I'm not sure.
I'm sure we were great.
No.
Yeah.
no,
But you haven't talked about your coach, so from Chelmsford.
Mrs. Dunn.
Yeah.
Yes.
So do you steal things from her when you're watching other color guards? Like, hey, this is.
Yeah, no,
Jen would not approve.
she definitely would not approve of many of the color guards out there. But yeah, she was super classy lady. She could get us all together, and that's a really hard task to do when you're talking teenage girls after school all day. And you know, you felt proud when you accomplished something or learned something, and
Right.
her guidance was just so that, you know, we were able to move into like that leadership position.
Yeah.
And without, like, I couldn't even tell you what it was that she did per se, but you just kind of like,
I think she just had expectations
Yeah.
that you just had to meet, you know, like
Yeah.
she didn't micromanage. She let us, you know, especially when we were captains and whoever the captains were before we were, you know, like
yeah.
she let us lead. And then, you know, I think when we did things well, she told us, but
Yeah.
she didn't
Positive
if we
encouragement.
didn't.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
she let us know if we needed to be better.
Yeah.
You know, we need to work on a specific thing, but
I mean, there's
She
a
does.
reason we were in your front yard twirling
Twirling,
flags
right? Twirling
with
flags.
the boom
in the
box.
summer, yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
Summer.
A confident Erin said that she could still twirl a flag. Now,
proud of
could
you.
you guys still sing the Chelmsford High fight song?
Definitely not.
At least 85% of it. I think.
85%?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we say yes, does that mean we have to sing it? though?
Well, I don't know.
I
I
need to know
actually,
this before I give you my
I have
answer.
no idea what that even would be.
We sang it on the bus.
You had to sing it.
I think I just blocked it all. I don't know. It was a really good time, but I don't know.
But when you're at different schools and stuff like that, do you ever remember the conversation about singing the fight song? I mean, there's so many schools and friends that I have in college that they have no idea what the fight song was for Chelmsford.
I don't
but
think I would know it unless
Okay.
I had been with the color guard.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 But being part of a team and I
Yeah.
mean, that's what
Yeah.
that drives you.
Yeah.
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 So you do know the first couple of lines. You just sang it. Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Knew it. She sang a little bit there.
Not
all I
coming
got.
back, Jen.
I like that the whole music kind of thing. That side of my brain doesn't actually work very well. So
So you were in the color guard, and not to say anything, but you didn't have rhythm. I mean, you've kind of
This
said
is-
to me.
This is
like,
why I'm telling you, like the most improved player was actually a thing because I like even marching. I remember how hard marching was for me in time with music, and I still sometimes like will hear music and I'm like, oh, I'm not sure I know how to march to that. Like I just zero rhythm.
But it still made you a great leader as a nurse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely. I think lessons I learned there kind of went forward into a totally different field and way. But I am in a leadership role as a nurse now.
Yeah.
And I have been for the last couple of years, and yeah, it definitely was the beginnings.
It was the beginnings.
Yeah.
I feel like it came most naturally to Erin. She's like really musical.
Yeah.
She loves music, and
That was
Yeah.
why I always regretted not being part of the majorettes that
Yeah.
I mentioned.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
that's where it
So
kind of
that's
came
where
from.
it came from.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, well, I am so happy that you came back to talk about it. I mean, everybody knows a little bit more about the color guard now,
Yep.
and your experiences, and so I truly appreciate it. I hope. What do you got? 2 more years before the big 20th class
Yeah.
reunion.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Hopefully,
yeah.
you're going to have to travel back for it. But
I
But
will.
I think it'll be a
Looking
fun.
forward to it.
20 years sounds big, but you're not there yet.
Not quite.
So,
Yeah.
so congratulations, best of luck with your careers and moving
you.
forward. And
Thank
I
you.
truly appreciate you being part of Where Are They Now.
Thanks
for having
for
us.
having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was good.